Welcome back. Jason Ferguson grew up in Los Angeles, loving the game of football. His dream was to play for nearby USC, followed by a career in the NFL. For Jason, like many athletes, everything centered around his sport from a young age. But at some point, we're all faced with the finality of retirement, which is a turning point that can spark struggles with mental health. Jason was on his way to accomplishing his dreams at the University of Hawaii. But like for so many, when the bright lights faded, he was faced with the challenge of finding a new identity.
Sometimes you can see the end at the beginning, and other times it's an abrupt, screeching halt. And those are the ones that I worry about the most because there is no plan. That quick snatch of an athlete's identity and seeing that if they aren't planning for this to be done, that injury or getting cut from the team can feel life-threatening.
Why are you making that face in this picture?
What's wrong with this face? I'm the coolest dude in the picture. Are you kidding me? These are my UH brothers. This was my freshman year. And the biggest thing that stands out here is I just remember how bad I was trying to prove myself. Because, I was coming off of the injury where I was out 2 years. So this is like that first camp back where I was like, man, I gotta make my name, man. I gotta get up in this lineup. This is the biggest game of my career. My whole family had flown down there to watch the game. I'm talking about 8 or 9 family members in the stands. Coach comes into the locker room and he's like, hey, team captains for the day, Jason Ferguson. So I'm like, what? I also get to be out there at the 50 and do the coin toss. And this was like the OG great USC, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. So we win the coin toss, we elect to receive the ball, and the starting kick returner can't find his helmet. So I look at my coach, he looks at me, I look at him, and I just pop my helmet on. And I run out there.
And the return, Jason Ferguson brings it back some 18 yards.
It was a subtle click. It was like a seatbelt being released. It was just a muted pop. And I remember thinking vividly, like, man, if something's wrong with my name, like God himself is gonna have to pull me off this field. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way I'm coming off. And that was a play that changed everything. I knew what was in front of me, but again, like my optimistic spirit made me feel like, okay, I've done this before, like, let's go. And Coach Jones finally had enough. He was just like, man, I appreciate what you're willing to do to fight for, yourself and the program, but like, this has got to be it. That's where it got really, really dark, and I didn't deal with the depression. I didn't do anything really to set myself up for success. I'd been locked in my room for a couple days, and one of my friends calls me up, and he's basically just like, I'm coming to get you, man, I'm coming to get you. And he hands me a beer, and after he hands me the beer, he hands me a pill. And I'm like, all right, hell yeah, like, give me one, right? And I chew it up, chase it down with my beer. That moment, that window of time unlocked a monster inside of me that went on to control my life for a decade. One bad decision after another, Even as my addiction spiraled into me doing like 4 to 6 pills a day, I'm still convinced that like, I've got it under control, like everything's fine. I'm not an addict, I'm just having fun. I had been to rehab, but I knew I was gonna relapse the whole time in rehab. Like I was literally making reservations, planning my relapse the whole time, basically. I was either gonna die, end up in jail, living on Skid Row. And like, I say that with every fiber of my being. Like, there is no joke in that. Those were my options at that point. There's nothing like opioid withdrawals, man. It is just hell on earth. And it's not just physical, it's mental. It's like, once you get past the physical, what comes next is like the psychological warfare, the emotions that you never wanted to deal with, the memories that you've, suppressed. Are you gonna read to us? Let's hear those reading out loud skills.
I want a sister.
Oh boy.
Sister.
When you finally decide to get clean, it has to be for you. But my daughter will think that was the catalyst to propel me to actually do the work for me.
That recovery process is not going to be linear. It's not going to just be, I fixed this problem, it's done. As much as we would like for it to be, it takes time. Just like it took time for you to become the elite athlete that you were, and you went through those phases and changes with that, the same thing goes for how are we treating our mental health.
I think working out from a mindset standpoint has helped me regain control of my life. If I win here, I can show up as my best self there. I remember designing the man that I wanted to be in full detail. Like, I went through this whole journey. I call it the life contract. What I want to look like, what I want to feel like, how I wanted to treat other people, how much money I wanted to make, how I wanted to impact my community, what type of dad I wanted to be. I've been doing the work ever since. At some point, everybody's life outside of football comes. Mine happened to come so fast, and it hit me like a ton of bricks that I didn't know how to take it. I'm immensely grateful for the opportunity that they gave me and being able to go back, share my stories. Some of y'all in here popping, thinking it's cool. You're not exempt. You're gonna have to pay for the choices you make.
When you have someone that looks like you, has been in your same space, your same life transitions, it makes it a little bit easier to open up and listen and open up and talk, because you're like, you get me, you see me.
Each and one of you guys has a job to do and a responsibility, and it's on you to do it. If not you, then who? If not right now, then when? I'm proud, you know? I'm not content and I'm not satisfied. I'm also very aware that the job's not done. I can finally really, really be proud of the man that I am today.
Man, what a powerful piece. And as I sit there and watch it, we're all Jason Ferguson to a certain extent, right? I know when I retired from the NFL and I had a lot of injuries, and I've got recovery in my history as well, there was this identity crisis, right? I had always been what I had always done, and in an instant, not on my terms, all of that changed. So the income that I received from playing the sport, whether it was a scholarship or money, the identity that I had, the purpose, the significance, the community, all of that was wrapped up in a sport, and poof, it ends. And I don't know, it's just like, you know, you can read all the books you want about swimming, but until you jump in the water, you are not prepared for what that experience is like. And that's exactly what retiring from our sport, whether it's on our terms or not. And it sounds like that's what his experience was as well.
I read where someone said, former NFL player, I think it may have even been a Green Bay Packer, said athletes always die twice, when our career is over and when we physically expire. And to your point about, boom, it's over. You can't wean yourself off of this. It's not like any other job where you say, hey, I think I'm going to retire. When it comes, it's over, and it's like turning off a spigot. So now, if my identity is wrapped into those shoulder pads, into that jersey number, do I really know who I am? And that's where I struggled when the game said, hey, I'm done with you. Hadn't really had a ton of injuries that kept me off the field up until I got to the NFL. And then the game spits you out, and you start questioning who you are, and you start questioning where you belong in society. And there's this perception that goes along with, well, you played in the NFL, you should have this, this, and this. And some of that we apply to ourselves. So we're our own worst enemies, because we start trying to live up to what society says, where you should be, how much money you should have in your bank account. And all that stuff can start taking a toll. And then you start relying on other forces, such as the young man in the piece, Jason Ferguson. Buddy comes over with a beer and a pill, and you start wanting to numb yourself. You start wanting to feel better about yourself, and you go down a dark hole. I struggled. I can't lie. I struggled when I went into retirement, because all my life I wanted to be an NFL football player. I lived it, but I didn't live it to its fullest. And then I resorted to other things, and luckily, by grace and my God, I pivoted and got into sports broadcasting. And so that essentially saved my life. But this is a struggle. And even if you exit the game in a great way and you had a wonderful career and you've done everything right, it's still a struggle because it's immediately over, that switches off, and you got to figure out, okay, what is my purpose again? Where do I fit into this whole societal puzzle?
We as a culture idolize the great athlete. We look and say, look at that guy, you know, the Michael Jordans of the world. I remember when Vince Young was at Texas, and, the big man on campus and then some, right? And that becomes part of who that kid is, or that young man is, or that young woman is, and all of a sudden, time it plays games with all of us, right? But Father Time always is undefeated, and eventually that's going to be gone. And the question is, what have you built for yourself as a challenge to go on? I remember meeting Pat Hayden. He had just taken the athletic director job at USC, and he says, I hope to have 3 more careers, because that was the way he kept challenging himself. It wasn't going to be somebody else telling him he needed to do it. He wanted to have more careers, having been a player, having been a broadcaster, now an athletic director. And I think that's what's key about college, which is why we should put so much emphasis on the education. I worry about today's college football because when was the last time anybody was academically ineligible?
You never hear of
We're
that.
doing so online stuff, and is online meaning that you're doing the work, or is someone helping you do the work? Who's in charge here? Because you have to be excited about life after football, because one thing all of us know, it's coming. It's coming, and if you're not prepared for it, then you're going to struggle. You're going to have that guy with the beer and the pill, and some guys are going to wake up with a hangover, some guys are going to wake up with a problem. And therein lies the issue. So we've got to make sure that this educational piece is still paramount in the world of collegiate
There's
athletics.
not enough broadcasting chairs for
No, they're in
players.
Yeah, I was really struck by, Jason was speaking to the Hawaii football team.
Right.
And I guarantee you in that room, 90% of those guys are listening to his story. They might know his story, but they're sitting there and they're thinking,
not me.
Well, that's never going to happen to me. And to Jason's credit, he knows those numbers are not 90-10. Those numbers are probably 10-90. 10% will handle it well. 90% won't. And 90%, they'll have family struggles, they'll have marital struggles, they'll have work struggles, they'll have all sorts of struggles.
Well, maybe there's a point on that future potential timeline where him appearing to them and speaking with them cuts off a full, devolvement otherwise.
I've always thought, too, that, if you're a college football player or a professional athlete at any level for any time, why you get done playing a game, and when you're playing a game, why wouldn't you try to find something else? You've got the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
Do something else. You have an off season.
100%.
Get a job, get a skill, do something. And that's something everybody talks about. We got to do. You got to keep them busy. Because being idle is the worst thing.
And you might have another 50 years on Earth.
Find another
Oh,
passion.
you do. I played for 21 years. I didn't start playing until the 9th grade. But when I got done, I think I was 34 years old. I retired. I didn't get cut. And, I just sort of quit after a Super Bowl. But it was 10 years before I felt basically semi-normal in what I was doing. I was in TV, and I've been in TV since then. But, man, it took a long time to get used to not being a player. You always think, in your mind, you're always a player.
Gladiators.
If sports teaches us anything, it's not about what life, what happens to you. It's about what you do about what happens to you. And there are people out there that are struggling, trying to figure out what's next. They've lost their job, or they're going through a divorce, or they're injured, or their season's not going well. There's a difference between hope and optimism. And optimism is a belief that things can get better somehow, right? But hope is a belief that there are things that I can do to improve my situation. So hope in that sense is a verb. It requires action. So to all of our points here, once one thing in, being active and engaged and finding out what's next, stepping into that uncomfortability, having a belief that the same skills that I used on the field that helped me to be successful can help me in this new endeavor, whatever that is the key to being successful. So in that respect, what Jason went through, he used the same skills as an athlete, but to enter recovery, to become a father and a husband, and from what we saw, pretty
And this is what I implore every school that participates in intercollegiate athletics to make sure that you're doing your part to get young people engaged in career opportunities outside the world of sport. We have so many people moving, transfer portal, and the money's now getting to be a lucrative thing. Families are participating in the money to help make ends meet at home. Understandable, all of that. But the universities where these kids are going to school are absolutely on the hook, in my mind, making sure these guys understand, because the NFL has only got a house for 3% of them. 3%. The rest of them are going to go off to life after football, and they got to be excited about it.
Well, I'm glad the therapist was part of that piece, because all these cats that are mired in this alpha culture should understand that therapy is not a weakness. No. That is maintenance, and it is necessary.
And you can see the website we've been showing for more information and resources to take care of your or your loved one's own mental health. You can go to mentalhealthishealth.us. Also, a lot of schools have added on-campus therapists or in the athletic office as well, because for all the pressures that athletes face when the playing days are over, there's even more pressure on them right now. It's coming to them through their phone. It's on social media, or even people who are unhappy with results tied to gambling. People who they don't even know. Exactly. All right. Good stuff. Good job.